Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my podcast. Today, we will be tackling a topic that is becoming very relevant in today's world, and this is how religious debates can actually worsen the prejudices people hold against each other. We will be exploring this, of course, through a few psychological theories. And one major important one is the Gordon Allport's contact hypotheses. And we will be looking into Muzafer Sherif's experiments on group conflict and cooperation. And he uses Gordon Allport's contact hypothesis to conduct this study. So let's just dive in by talking about religious debates. So I came across this channel called Ahmadi Answers, and it's a YouTube channel that often features heated interactions between Ahmadis, which is an Ahmadi is a Muslim sect, and non-Ahmadi Muslims. So these the tone is quite confrontational with titles like "Caught His Lies" or "Imam is exposed lying" or Sunni Imam humiliated. I mean, it's not just Ahmadi Answers, it's the other side as well. So, that's what we're talking about. These debates tend to be more about exposing the other side rather than fostering understanding between two groups, which would be optimal, I guess. This kind of approach is what strengthens the prejudices people already hold, rather than bridging the divide between them, right? So these the gap between the two groups, the divide between the two groups, is strengthened by these kind of discourses. And again, to understand why this happens, we have to turn to Gordon Allport's famous contact hypothesis. Allport's contact hypothesis basically says that under certain conditions, interpersonal contact can actually reduce prejudice between majority and minority groups, or merely just two groups. So basically, the idea is that bringing people together can help them see each other as individuals rather than just stereotypes that we have been growing up with. And that not only includes stereotypes as in physical features or behavioral, it could be a prejudice, which is the emotional aspect of stereotypes. So, according to Allport, there are 4 key conditions that need to be met for contact to effectively reduce this prejudice we hold. There is here equal status, common goals, intergroup cooperation, and support of authorities, law, or custom, right? So, for equal status, we're talking about the groups being involved having equal status in the situation, and this needs to be understood by both the groups. And when we talk about common goals, we're talking about the groups must be working towards a common goal. And in the case of religious debate, we could talk about finding the truth, that we both are looking for the truth and not trying to disprove one another. And then when we talk about intergroup cooperation, we're talking about there's a need for cooperation to achieve these common goals, to eliminate the factor of competition and foster cooperation instead. And lastly, when we talk about supportive authorities, we're talking about the institutions that allow for such contact to occur, that allow for either majority, minority, or simply two groups to interact without prejudices. For example, in the United States back in the day, having laws that would prevent black men and white women to marry would be considered a lack of support from the authorities. So again, in the context of religious debates, these conditions are often not met, especially these podcasters and YouTubers that just are there to, I guess, just bash one another till they can prove their point to be valid. I mean, again, the point that these debates are more competitive rather than cooperative. So we are not fulfilling this requirement for real contact. And here, both the sides are trying to prove each other wrong. This competition can actually reinforce existing prejudices as each side becomes like more... They solidify their own beliefs in this process and become more hostile towards the other group or other group member. And again, the lack of equal status and common goals further make this problem worse. So here, the equal status, even though both people might be YouTubers, but in their minds, one is better than the other, one is more truthful than the other, one is more moral and more spiritually accurate than the other. And then when we talk about the application of Allport's contact hypothesis to have more constructive interactions between religious groups, we can again look at these four requirements for a meaningful, real, authentic contact between groups. Firstly, we need to ensure that all participants in a discussion, in a debate, are treated with equal respect and have equal opportunity to speak and be heard. And sometimes I do see that happen in quite a few videos. But it is still with the idea that we are coming from a truthful religion, and a more accurate perspective of religion than my opponent, right? So this is kind of creating this disbalance between equal status, and then again, instead of debating to prove who's right, to prove against, to fight against, to make contact with the other group with this idea in mind that we will be proving them wrong. Instead of doing this, we should be focusing on common goals, such as understanding different perspectives or finding shared values. And this kind of shifts the dynamic from a competitive one to a more cooperative one. And then when we talk about intergroup cooperation, we are talking about engaging in cooperative activities where both groups work together and can help build empathy and reduce hostility, right? For example, interfaith community service projects could be a great way to foster cooperation, and this is just an example. And lastly, the support from authorities is very important to allow such respectful dialogue with mutual understanding, because we cannot just blame the individual. As always, we need to take into account the institution that allows for such discrimination and prejudice to exist. So to see all of this in practice, let's see Muzafer Sherif's famous Robbers Cave experiment. So this study was conducted on two groups of boys at a summer camp who were initially given names, eagles and rattlers, I believe, and they had competitive games between the groups. And that, as predicted, led to hostilities, name-calling, ragging, and competitive behavior. And, of course, there are a lot of stages that Sherif talks about in his study. But let's just fast forward. In the end, he gave both the groups cooperative activities to work on, such as that united them, such as the lack of water, scarcity of resources that both the groups needed to work on to bring back water, for instance, in this case, or the food truck, where both the groups of kids had to pull the truck. So the experiment began with the boys divided into two groups, competing in various activities, and this led to hostility. And then Sherif introduced superordinate goals. And these tasks require the boys to work together. And through these cooperative efforts, the boys began to see each other as teammates rather than rivals. And this led to reduced prejudice and increased unity. I mean, again, it's very funny that we have to talk about animal studies and studies done on children to be able to convince adults to behave a little bit more humane, a little bit more educated. The patterns are repetitive indeed. So again, how can we apply Sherif's findings to the context of religious debates? First, we need to create superordinate goals, right? So focus on goals that both groups care about and can work on together, such as social justice issues, community service, or charity work. This can really help take away our focus from differences to shared humanity. And then we need to facilitate positive contact, arrange for members of different religious groups to have cooperative, respectful, and meaningful interactions. This could include interfaith dialogues, joint community events, and collaborative, projects or something. But when we talk about interfaith dialogues, we need to understand that this can also exacerbate the problem because at this point, we do not engage in deep, authentic contact. Instead, it is very casual and surface. And this is what Gordon Allport also says, that this can actually worsen the prejudices in people. And so basically, deep contact for a longer time, which is basically the way to go. And again, we obviously need to encourage empathy and understanding. So when we make environments and spaces where people can share their personal stories and beliefs in a safe and respectful manner, this can help humanize the other and reduce these stereotypes. And we need to promote respectful dialogue. We also need to promote respectful dialogue, encouraging a tone of curiosity and respect instead of confrontation and competition. We need to emphasize listening and understanding over winning an argument. Basically, while religious debates often reinforce these prejudices by creating this competitive atmosphere, and we can take steps to change this dynamic, right? And honestly, whenever I look at these videos, even I get uncomfortable watching this video from behind a screen. It is that confrontational and hostile. And by applying, what we learned from Gordon Allport and Sherif's Robert's cave experiment, we can really make more constructive and unifying interactions. So once again, we are saying to focus on the 4 requirements from Allport, which is equal status, common goals, cooperation, intergroup cooperation, and the support from authorities. So I really do love talking about this, and this was a very quick summary from my notes that I wanted to just get it out in my first few introductory podcasts. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you found this discussion helpful and insightful. So I guess thank you so much. Until next time.